Hello and welcome to 2K Sports. You're watching the NBA. Friday Hoops Fest coming up next. It's the San Antonio Spurs going up against the Miami Heat. And now let's...
Hello everyone, this is the NBA on 2K Sports. Kevin Harlan alongside Steve Kerr and Clark Kellogg. Joined this Thursday afternoon by Doris Burke. Our starting lineups will look at the matchups here and who we'll see for our starting five for both teams. First for the Spurs, Parker and Danny Green are your 1 and your 2. And in the middle, out of Brazil, taken with the 28th pick back in 2008, the 6'11" pivot man, Thiago Splitter. Then there's Kawhi Leonard, and it's Duncan in at the 4 slot. And for the Heat, Chalmers and D. Wade are the guards. And playing at the 5, the always versatile 6'11" star big man, able to score inside and out, Chris Bosh. Then it's LeBron James, and it's Haslam in at the 4 spot.
Well, he tried to step in and cut him off, but just not quick enough. And we have the benefit of replay, but I think they got that one right, which is the case most times, even though fans don't think so.
Now here's Parker. Duncan down low. Haslam's there. That's good. Duncan's got the opening bucket of the night here for San Antonio.
They get the first bucket of the game there. And I think it's going to be a good one.
And Haslam kicks to Chalmers. The feed to Wade. Shoots a fader. That is good.
You know, that's exactly how they wanted to run that possession, guys. Beautiful. And as you might expect for the team with the second-best record in the West, the Spurs dominated the East last season, played each team twice for a total of 30 games, and went 25-5 in that stretch.
And LeBron with the basket, the assist by Chalmers.
I love when he takes the ball inside. That's when he seems to really get on a roll.
Let's catch up with Doris from the sideline.
Well, Kevin, Greg Popovich had a few moments to share with me. There are a lot of big names to deal with in this one, but perhaps none bigger than LeBron James. He told me planning for LeBron is a headache because he can do so much on the floor, saying there isn't a hole in his game. The only real way to slow him down is to get him working against himself. Physically, there is no answer for LeBron.
Thanks, Doris. First free throw is good. And Clark, back to what you said about the Spurs and the East, it was far and away the best record against the conference, Steve, for a team in the West.
Yeah, the second best record was Memphis with 22 wins. So kind of scary to think that they rested their big stars a few times against teams in the East, and they were still able to put up that kind of a record. Well, if you're going to learn from someone, you might as well take some lessons from Tim Duncan. That's what Thiago Splitter has done in San Antonio, really kind of growing up under the tutelage of one of the great players of all time.
Just around a minute and a half into the first quarter. Kicks to Parker. Duncan outside. He feeds it to Leonard. Pass to Splitter. Back to Leonard. 6 on the shot clock. And Shane Battier gets the whistle that time. That's his first foul. And Splitter taken 28th by the Spurs way back in the 2007 draft. But they had to wait 3 seasons, Clark, for him to come over from Spain. And as Greg Popovich was saying just this past season, he's finally showing what he can do because he's been healthy.
Yeah, agreed, Kevin. And I think it was a wait worth making, yes, quite honestly. I mean, one of the premier backup centers in the NBA the last 3 seasons. And he earned himself a nice payday with his new contract, too.
Now, here's Wade. After the miss from Tim Duncan. Battier's shot. Good.
Red hot, right out of the gates. 4 for 4 shooting.
Spurs have gone just 1 for 5 from the field to start the quarter. Parker drives in. Leonard dishes to Parker. The finger roll finish at the bucket.
Well, I tell you what. Greg Popovich, a really impressive leader for the Spurs. He's able to keep all of his players locked into what's best for the team. Has a military background, played basketball and studied at the Air Force Academy before serving 5 years in the Air Force. And you know some of the leadership that he brings to his position was learned from his past experiences.
Ran his man straight into that screen to open the lane up for the hoop.
Wade outside. Buries it down low.
You know, his ability is matched only by his energy, guys. I mean, he's usually in the middle of everything for his team.
And Clark, you mentioned Pop's time at the Air Force Academy. That's where he got his start in the coaching ranks.
Yeah, 6 years as an assistant there. He was head coach at Pomona, an assistant coach with the Golden State Warriors and the Spurs, and eventually moved into the front office in San Antonio. But wow, what an amazing run it's been for him. 17 years as the head coach of the Spurs.
Spurs trail by 4. Leonard kicks to Splitter. And Shane Battier gets the whistle that time. That's foul number 2 for him.
Well, he's got to watch himself now. I mean, that's 2 fouls already, and he can't afford another one.
And some changes here for the Spurs. Matt Bonner, he's checked in for Splitter. Diaw comes in for Tim Duncan. And it's Ginobili in for Daniel Green. And here in the first quarter, with a little over 3.5 minutes played.
You know, it's really a bit surprising that the coach kept him on the floor this long. And because he did, he's picked up his 3rd foul now.
You know, Kevin, Diaw is a really interesting player. He's not a big scorer, but he's capable. He can rebound the ball, not really a shot blocker, but mainly he's strong. He's a cagey defender, and then a playmaking big man can step out and you can run your offense through him because he's such a good passer.
Yeah, indeed. A very good passer for a big man. He played some small forward when he came into the league right off the bat, and you can see some of that skill set now in his play.
The mid-range jumper becomes a pretty high percentage shot for him when he has that kind of space. Well, Miami stormed through the regular season and were viewed as the clear-cut favorites to come out of the East, but it was not as easy as expected. After sweeping Milwaukee, the Bulls gave them a scare, then the Pacers really took them deep, all the way to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals.
Spurs trail by 3. And for the Heat, the Pacers were their first real test, it seemed, and they had to survive a win or go home against them. It almost seemed, Clark, to take away any momentum they might have had when they went up against the Spurs in the finals.
You know, it's interesting. When I think of momentum in the playoffs, it doesn't carry over from game to game or series to series. I think each game, Kevin, is really an entity in and of itself. That said, Miami found a way, despite being pushed by the Pacers and being pushed by the Spurs, both to Game 7s. It came down to LeBron James's brilliance, but also the hot shooting of a complimentary role-playing winner, Shane Battier.
The Spurs making a switch here. Bellinelli's checked in and out of bounds as the Spurs gain possession.
That's not what they needed there, that's for sure.
.143 left in the first quarter. San Antonio's gone 0-2 from deep here.
Well, the coach gambled and lost by keeping him on the floor.
San Antonio shooting their 7th and 8th free throw attempts for the game right here.
Well, this was a very consistent free throw shooting team a year ago. They shot about 79%.
You know, success at the line just became contagious for them. A few guys got on a roll, and it carried over to the rest of the team.
And it's tied up with that one.
Well, when you have the best record in the league, you're going to be the most dominant, one of the most dominant teams at home. The Heat just destroyed people down in Miami, and only the Denver Nuggets had more wins at home than the Heat did.
And how crazy is that from the Heat to win as many games as they did last season, but still be second in the league in home wins? Still were far and away number 1 at home in the East.
Well, yeah, the Knicks were the closest team in the East, but they still had 6 fewer wins at home than Miami. But the Heat really just did what they had to do to put themselves in position to go on to their 2nd NBA title in a row.
And refuel with Gatorade. And guys, we know the drill well, all 3 of us drinking the Gatorade too.
Yeah, no question. Right. I mean, Kevin, people have no idea the fatigue that can set in during a telecast. And so it's important for us to stay hydrated all game long.
Clark, you're always hydrated.
Yeah, I try to be, but it's usually with a combination of H2O and Gatorade.
I love Gatorade. And look at Steve, got the Gatorade shirt on.
Yeah, he's really immersed in the Gatorade.
Yeah, gotta love it.
Inside, here's Anderson, and he banks in the layup. Anderson's got his first points of the night.
Well, I tell you what, the post play has been rock solid right off the bat.
Well, that's the key to basketball. Get the ball inside into the paint, either with a pass or with penetration.
Ginobili can't hit. They can trade 2 for 1 here.
Yeah, that's the right move. Get a good possession here, play defense, and get one more opportunity to score.
The shot by Wade. The 19-footer is on the money. Wade's got his second bucket. 32 seconds left here in the opening quarter. Parker with it. Now defended by Cole. And the call will be against Tony Parker. That's his first foul.
What a great play to sacrifice his body and take the hit.
Yeah, I thought that was excellent awareness and anticipation to beat him to the spot there.
Cole, the pass to Anderson. Fade away. And Ginobili pulls it down.
That was not pretty there. You got to make that one, but maybe that's not his range.
Parker dishes to Diaw. Back to Parker. Can't hit from in close.
Well, those chances are almost always 2 points for him. I guess the defense did what it had to do to bother him.
And a high-scoring first quarter. Both teams